what happens if I don't record this? Like, what potential for change and impact am I taking away by not doing this? What is going on, beautiful people? Today is May 12th, 2019, and I'm excited for today's episode. Tons of stuff to talk about. And last week I had a lot of challenge with the episode, so I'm going to try to record or re-record a lot less this week and just embrace fuck-ups. And because that was like the root cause of it all, a lot of judgment. But we'll hopefully get into that. I also want to just quickly highlight, if there's a point, I want to try to go a little bit faster in these reflections and cover more things and not have to explain every little thing. So if there is a point that you really like or really appreciate, I would love if you could let me know in the comments or message me or DM or whatever, and just let me know, because I can make videos and would actually enjoy to make videos or podcasts on to further explain these topics, these concepts, these tactics, whatever the case may be. But there's always more I'm not talking about for time constraint reasons. So if you want to learn more about that, that would be amazing. I would love to do that. So please let me know. And what Reflections is, by the way, is a weekly episode where I reflect on my week. I look for things that worked, what didn't, lessons, places I grew, challenges I experienced, and other stuff. And then from that deep reflection, I then come on camera and I share on audio and video the highlights of those things. And it's a great way to timestamp my history and a given point, at least. And I don't know what I'm saying. I'm trying to say timestamp a week in a given point in history, and as well reset my week, and then just be able to hopefully bring value in the process. That's another major key part of that. Anyways, without further ado, let us rock today's episode. Hopefully it's kick-ass. And if it isn't, I don't give a fuck. The win is just sitting down and recording. What's been on my mind? Compliments have been very on my mind. And when I say on my mind, I'm specifically thinking about reticular activating system, which is basically, my understanding is it's the part of your brain that seeks out goals and is like, it was responsible for your focus. So my focus was on compliments. I was receiving more. That's not a coincidence. So ever since I've been continuing to screenshot and keep track of compliments, there have been a lot more, and I really like compliments, so give me them. But only if they're legit. Been wondering how someone knows they are a thing before they become it, meaning maybe that's a singer, maybe that's an athlete, maybe that's an actor, maybe that's an entrepreneur. But how does one know before they become that? It's been very top of mind, specifically with myself, with entrepreneurship. And it's just like, was I a creative before I was a creative? Like, how the fuck does that work? Obviously, there's so many things and variables that go into this, but it's been just like I'm battling with this in my mind a lot right now. I think I talked about in Reflections 40 this idea of thinking about what other people think of me, like trying to understand what they see when they look at me. Related to this is this idea that I wish people knew how much I can see what they're seeing. I don't necessarily agree with what they're seeing, but I'm holding a ton of different point of views at once that could be conflicting or contradicting in nature, just because I'm just interested to see what people are seeing. I don't necessarily agree, like I just said, but I can see a lot more than I just wonder if people understand how self-aware I am. I'm not perfect, but I am pretty fucking self-aware of my strengths and my weaknesses, and equally I still have so much to go on that. Ever After is of course top of mind. We're getting way too close now. Visited Binghamton's this week and made a separate episode on that, just talking about physical proximity to motivate yourself, and the choice of walking down that hill knowing I did what I could, or walking down the hill with low-key regret in the back of my mind. Wondering if this cut is actually worth it, or if I probably should have just stuck with building muscle. As of right now, I feel like the cut is worth it. I'm on week 2, and I'm about to enter day 15 or some shit like that. Anyways, I miss food a lot. But I really want veins equally, so the veins that's what's keeping me in it right now. What were my favorite wins? Truths and lies. My lord, I've done a ton of truths and lies this week. I got really deep on Moxey energetics specifically, was one of my main focuses for truths and lies. And this exercise showed me so much clarity and showed me so many things I couldn't see before, and all of these false beliefs I bought into. It's just always incredible to shine a light on things we can't see, because unconscious patterns are dangerous as fuck. But when we can take conscious awareness of it, plus do subconscious/unconscious work, that is where the magic happens. And if you're consciously working on it as well, it's just magical what's occurring. And I feel so different, and I'll talk about this more later in the episode, but damn. Whipped out the bike for the first time ever. After today, I'll be going on 3 bike rides this week, and it's incredible. Loving it. It is a much more fun alternative right now for me to walking and running. I just like it so much more. On that bike ride note, by the way, the first one I went on was like 14 kilometers. It was an hour long. It was so cool. I went all over Kitchener, and it was just super peaceful. I listened to Gary Vaynerchuk as well, and then I got home and I was all amped, like, let's go fucking do. That's such a Gary thing to think. And yeah, that was incredible. I loved that. I'd really also like to try 5 a.m. bike rides type of thing, like getting up with the sun and then going right on a bike ride. I think that'd be incredible. That, or walking or jogging, something like that. I would love to just get out early if I'm gonna do some cardio. It's super fucking nice. Doing the illusion transformation process on a daily basis. This is a process to remind myself essentially that I am source. I am not only connected to source, I am source. I am an extension, if you will. I am source. So this is very grounding of an exercise. Some of the best feelings I've ever felt. Doing it on Monday was crazy, and then just like I don't know what the word is, almost like going through like a more simplistic version of that daily. I'm finding it's not as fun and not as like peaceful as the full exercise is, but it's just incredible to do nonetheless. And maybe I'll throw down a video. I have yet to post that episode of my first time doing that, and I would love to do that because it was just such an incredible experience. Probably the most peaceful I have ever felt in my entire life. And just real quick, when I say illusion, I'm talking about none of this is real. This is all merely an illusion that we've all bought into. That the physical is real. It's super not. I am source. I am love. That is about the only thing that is true. What worked? Using sleep hypnosis to fall asleep faster. So I take forever to fall asleep typically, but this made me so fucking peaceful. Shout out Sarah Infantino for this recommendation, and it's been super fucking nice. I like go into a very deep peace, a state of serenity, if you will, and it makes me drift off to sleep a little bit easier. And I would like to go to bed ideally at like 11 p.m. and wake up at like 5 a.m. type of thing, maybe have a nap midday type of thing, but something like this has been very nice. Quick story on that, by the way. There's these 10 steps you go down in that exercise, and I will link this below, by the way, but there's 10 steps you go down, and on the more you walk down these stairs, the more peaceful you are supposed to get. And I got so peaceful at step 6 that I lost control in my mind of the stairs, and or of my legs rather, and I just fucking ate shit. I flew down those stairs like a motherfucker, and I burst out laughing, and I completely lost my super serene state, and it was hilarious. But yeah, safe to say I did not fall deeply asleep fast for that exercise. But it was so much easier last night, thank God. But looking at reasons and my dream board, and anti-reasons as well, meaning like what happens if I don't, and these types of things, just keeping them as top of mind as I can. I would like to even do it more throughout the day, but using these things to create urgency and make sure that I'm pulling from these types of things, because it's very easy to get unmotivated if I'm not keeping the vision top of mind. It's like Gary told me in a comment once on Instagram that he is thinking about the macro vision every fucking second. I think that's so fucking crucial to making really good progress. Even just taking one reason or 2 reasons from that list of what I just viewed and taking what vibes with me the most in that moment, and then using that as fuel and channel that into whatever I'm doing, super fucking useful. A couple things that worked really well within Truths and Lies. Number one, turning fear into excitement. So I'm so scared of moving forward subconsciously can become I am so excited to move forward. It's a similar energy, and you can just like kind of change it a little bit, and it feels very empowering just in that slight little change. And you can believe it, because if you have fear, you can be pretty sure you have excitement as well around that. I also was doing a lot of future pacing, in that I would pretend I was in the future, and it just like felt real, like because you are those things at a quantum level because of no time and space, everything. So if you write things as they already are and you like really tap into that future, it feels incredible. And I feel like Truths and Lies landed so much deeper. And I'm specifically talking about the truths aspect when I was writing the reverse affirmations, the new truths I want to buy into upon a given topic. And lastly, finding lies through the why exercise. So I went through and I was asking myself, like, why have I not done this yet? And then I got an answer. I'm like, okay, so why is that the case? And then I got another answer. I kept going till like 8 levels deep or whatever, and then I got some really core truths. I did that multiple times, and I found some really important patterns that I wasn't seeing previously. It just got me, it gave me a lot of data to work with in the lies section, so I could just, instead of just trying to find lies, I could quickly take what I got from that doc and apply it and write out all the bullshit I thought about those topics, and then quickly take those fake beliefs, those false beliefs, and turn them into truths. So that was awesome. Worked fucking great. And working on Moxey energetics was probably one of the most important parts about this, because it is absolutely a priority, and I was so stuck, and I'm feeling much less unstuck now and much more in motion. I'm still not perfect, but I am moving forward, thankfully, through lessons and truths and lies, changing my beliefs, etc. There's a lot going on. It's not just one thing, but it's all working together. Using stopwatches and end times together. So there's this belief of a man can do anything so long as it's not forever. I completely buy into that. If we break things down into blocks, things become very fucking doable. But if you feel like you have to do things forever and there's no light at the end of the tunnel, things quickly seem very impossible. And I fall into this trap at times 1000%. But it's so much better if you just time yourself and have like, hey, at the end of this time, I want to take a break or whatever. And then you can return back after like 20 minutes. Whatever you want to set up for yourself. But having that time, tracking it with a timer to see like, yo, time is vanishing. Let's speed up urgency. Let's move faster and everything. All these types of things. There's a million great reasons, but just pressing start on the stopwatch or having a countdown for, hey, I want to work on this for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Again, after that, I start to like say, hey, let's take a fucking quick break real quick and recharge. But overall, these things are fucking incredible, working great. Letting myself say things I wouldn't normally say. Like at times I can get too logical in conversation and I don't have enough fun with things. I like when I am almost like flirtatious, fun in nature. These types of just like having more fun in conversation and just letting myself say different shit or weird shit and not judging myself around it. It's much nicer. It's much more enjoyable to have conversations like that and free flowing and going everywhere and not having like to stay within a certain box or a script or in a linear line. It's just more interesting doing things like this and having fun where I can. What didn't work and how can I improve it? Judging myself for re-recording content. Last week was a disaster. That was one of my least favorite episodes to record, potentially ever, or at least in recent memory. And one of the root causes of this is as soon as I re-record a point and I start to re-record enough points, maybe like if I'm going to like 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there, I might start to really harshly judge myself. It's very easy to lose energy from that place and not feel like recording anymore, and then just like this odd downward fucking spiral for the rest of the episode. So it's okay to just embrace failure and accept myself, take a deep breath, breathe. Hopefully use less shoulders because I was using shoulders there and that's emergency breathing. These types of things, like just it's not worth judging yourself. Like, it's super not. It's just a fucking video. It's just an audio. It's not the end of the world. And yeah, you can just make mistakes. It is okay. And it's okay to also put in bad clips and reflections. It's, again, just not the end of the world. Waiting too long in the day to look at my dream board and my vision and my whys and my anti-whys, my reasons, all these types of things. I am letting them slip too far in my day. I would like to start integrating them into check-ins. So maybe every hour or every few hours I check in, or maybe I just do it automatically when I feel low, checking in. I am a little bit scared. I don't want to get that negative association with it, but yeah, using them is just so helpful for keeping me on track and excited and motivated. And ultimately, you don't need those things, but at the same time, it's just so much fucking easier if you're just pulling from your vision rather than trying to do it anyway all the time. So I let plans quickly slip, and this is not the way. Like, I need these things top of mind. I need these things to be my awareness. So whether that's like printing it out, which I'm probably never going to do, but I could do things like making a physical note. And this is another point in itself. I want to integrate more physical stuff to keep things more top of mind because I went so digital. I would like to keep, I don't know, like to-do list and physical. It could be really helpful to keep like priorities and stuff like that. But going back to this, keeping things in like Safari where it's more accessible than just getting lost in Google Docs forever, or keeping a notepad like I've talked about in weeks past, which I've failed to integrate. Keeping a notepad of things I need to look at, whether that's dream boards, reasons, lists, plans, all that type of stuff. But just like as much as I can, keeping these things in my awareness so I don't forget about them. Inching forward instead of miling forward with Moxey energetics. So I did move forward this week in certain areas, and at the same time, I'm like, at the end of the week, I'm like, fuck, I should have moved forward so much more. I had so much time I could have invested into my long-term future with Moxey energetics because of this. And it's just like, come the fuck on. So action steps, I should specifically like this whole idea of specifying. I need to get more specific. I need to more clearly outline my priorities. I need to make sure my next steps are active and top of mind. I need to actually do those things. If things feel too big, making them a little bit smaller, and as small as I need to, making the vision, like pulling from the vision and getting excited about that, making it bigger if need be, making it smaller in that moment if need be, just like being flexible to where I'm at in that given moment, and just ultimately creating momentum. Also using anti-reasons as well, like what happens if I don't do this type of thing. That's always very powerful, because you can end up in some dangerous places if you don't do certain things. But ultimately creating momentum is what I'm looking for. I do not have enough momentum right now, and I've got to create it because that is what occurs with success. Momentum builds success. Period. End of story. Many times I felt myself very ready to work and equally letting resistance run me. I was I'm just like sitting there and I'm like, okay, I've got to do XYZ right now. Like I've got to do some, it wasn't even XYZ, I've got to do Moxey energetics was my thought. The problem with that is like at the time, my priorities and my next logical steps were not clear. And I was just like running around going nowhere, and I just ultimately did nothing and let resistance kill me in the earlier parts of this week. And I just continued with inaction, and that was no fun. I fixed it later on, thankfully. But fuck, man, dangerous as hell. Also putting things on the power list for Moxey energetics because I haven't done that recently, and I've got to make sure that's on there because it's the most important, I think, right now of anything. And making sure everything's very specific and understandable, and even a person who has no fucking idea what's going on can still understand what the action step is. It's almost like mindless in nature because I put in the time to make it mindless with my mind, if that makes sense. Also, being too focused on myself and not enough on the other person. I think I touched on this last week, but this week it's more of an energy of I'm forgetting the disservice I'm doing if I'm not advancing Moxey energetics in the way that I need to. For me, with content, what's really worked is when I get to about myself type of thing, I remind myself, or it's not even necessarily just about myself, but yes, it is. It's when I don't feel like recording, that's when I'm too focused on myself. And when I do feel like I'm recording, it's because I am focused on, okay, how can I help this person? And there's like equally this type of energy that I don't necessarily think about all the time, but it helped me get really consistent with content at the beginning, which was, what happens if I don't record this? Like, what potential for change and impact am I taking away by not doing this? And that has really helped me gain consistency and momentum and record even when I don't want to, because I don't want to take that away from someone. That's very selfish if I do that. And coming from that energy is a great way to create progress for me specifically speaking. My physical state is not as high energy as I would like it to be right now. And the actionables for this are things like midday meditation, naps, deeper breathing. 1000% for that. I'm not breathing anywhere close to what I should be right now. Consciously trying to think better thoughts and like things like affirmations, as cringe as those things sound, taking more time to visualize and seeing a much more positive picture, if you will, improving my posture, sitting in different ways, not necessarily sitting at the bottom of my bed when I'm working. That can kill my mood. Things like this, more sitting up in different ways, experimenting with working throughout the house, doing grounding exercises, all these types of things that will improve my physical energy, my physical state, and will lead to more action and more results. Telling myself too many stories of the past and the present instead of focusing on the future and what I'm becoming. Truths and lies. Found out a lot of bullshit that I bought into around this. I've got to focus on what I am becoming rather than just what I am right now. And that's a challenge with self-awareness. You're constantly looking at the present and the past, forgetting that you are going to change in the future type of thing. And I've talked about this in another episode I recorded. But I've got to do a better job of visualizing and taking that time every day to visualize who I'm becoming and not necessarily who I am. And through that, I will change my self-image, which changes a ton. Self-image plus subconscious, like those two things work very hand in hand. Next steps not being clearly defined. So I touched on this in another point, but I just need to, if I'm ever feeling like I'm losing my next steps, it's really just as simple as asking myself, what are my 3 next steps? Or if I had this result I was looking for, what 3 next steps did I take? What 3 pieces of action? What 3 tasks that I work on? These types of things. It'll quickly clarify exactly what you need to know. Going to bed so late, waking up so late, and this ultimately comes from going to bed so late, wanting to sleep for forever, taking too long to fall asleep, these types of things. Like I talked about, the sleep hypnosis is helping with this for sure. But other things such as my nightly ritual is not the greatest for this right now. Like I go on social media later at night and then I end up procrastinating because I'm having enjoyable conversations. And then I end up taking too long on reading my journal. And then I'm too tired to like do all these other things like checking Productive, which is an app, checking into my dream board. So doing things that will get me in a more tired state could be very, very helpful for this. And then ultimately I'm waking up early. The sleep hypnosis is going to help with this as well and is helping with this. And going on social when I don't feel like working. That's such a stupid habit, but instead of doing this, I could do things like looking at my dream board. I could read reflections. I could read a book. All of these types of things that will motivate me instead of giving me just like, it's almost like seeking a quick hit of Coke, if you will. And that fucking derailed fast, but you get what I'm saying. It's the approval, the acceptance, like the fake love, all this type of bullshit that goes on with social media. Keeping things I want to say to myself and then ultimately feeling resentment and building up resentment because of it. Now, it's tough because I don't want to offend people, but I want to tell people if it's the right move. And if it isn't the right move, I have stuff to do on myself, meaning like I can just work on it, whether that's like journaling and then burning the page or typing an email, never sending it and drafting it or whatever, or doing energetic work or truths and lies or whatever process you want to do to get there. But if it is ideal, tell the person. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If they're offended, guess what? It's not the end of the world. Like, the world gets over things hopefully fast. That's actually not necessarily true, but for the right people will understand. And the right people do want to hear the truth. At least for me, I want to hear the actual truth. I might not necessarily agree with it at the time, but if it's true, I'll probably agree with it within enough period of time. Trying to go so fast. If I am trying to just whip everywhere really fucking fast, it's actually slowing me down. I think what's much better is to take a step back, be more thoughtful, and like, it's the equivalent of fucking with reading, like just whipping past each fucking line, or taking the time to much more slowly read each line and integrate it properly. And then you're able to explain something after, whereas I don't necessarily know if the person who was just flipping through each line like super fucking fast can explain it. So things like this, if you're thoughtful, it's helpful to just slow down and go slow to move fast. Not aiming to squeeze as much potential out of my time and my day. I'm not viewing my day in the best way right now. I'm almost viewing it at times like, okay, I wish this day was over. I want to get on to the next day type of thing. And that's not very present. That's not very grateful for this time that we have and this opportunity. And I want to do a better job of, number one, scheduling things better. I want to try to make a game out of this all. And that's probably the most important point I'll highlight here, which is just trying to gamify things in the sense that you're given X amount of seconds or X amount of minutes or X amount of hours, whatever you want to look at. It is your job to use that time effectively and to create things with it and to feel things with it and just use it productively however you want to do that. And even better than productively, use it purposefully, however that may be for you. So things like that, continuing to use things like check-ins to keep myself on track and making sure I am following through with the things I want to and keeping vision top of mind, all that jazz. And ultimately, as well, mini days. Mini days are like fitting in as many days as possible into your 1 days and add my let concept. And this is very applicable here as well. Going slow with my work. If I want others to work faster, I need to work faster too. I am the one who sets the pace. I'm going too slow right now. So it starts with me, and I'm talking energetically. And if I want things to speed up externally, I've got to start speeding up within myself. Forgetting to write down things in the check-ins as data I get and letting it slip, and then I never do anything with it. So just taking the time to quickly write in like mind dumps or whatever in a Google Doc I do is much easier, because then I am able to get to it later if I'm not able to get to that now, and I can just come back to it without it just vanishing forever and me never getting into it. I need some sort of physical proximity to get things done. What were my biggest lessons? If you want to make content and there's no questions for people to ask you, just use the world's questions. So Gary did this at the beginning of his project, Gary V, if you will, because it's just like a personal branding thing. But at the beginning, way back in like whenever it was, early days of Twitter type of thing, he would actually search up terms related to wine and answer people's questions. They were asking the world, but Gary decided to hop in and educate these people, because they weren't asking him, because who the fuck was he at that point? He wasn't known, he had no brand, etc. So at the start, if you're not getting questions, you can outsource it from the world. You could even create a Q&A show out of this. Like he suggested another person to do this. You could just throw up a question and pretend they asked it to you. Ideally, you try to be transparent about that, but you can do you. But I might do something like this, and hopefully I'm transparent about it as well. But this is a great way to get started if you're looking for ways to make content around a question and answer. I am not built to be a classic salesman, and if I was to go that route, I would fucking fall on my face. So this week I was paying attention to myself and the way sales has worked in the past, and I just don't like it. I am much more about the Gary V, Andy Frisella model, but closer to Andy. I feel like Gary edges closer to that bullshit sometimes. Said with love, Gary, but like he's very like aggressive in nature at times, and equally not. So anyways, I'm much more about Andy's though, and for me, I just know that sometimes I had to pioneer a new way, and it might be Andy's, or I might have to do my own thing, but just we all have this like unique capabilities within ourselves, and we don't necessarily have to play to past roles of the way things were done. We can create new modern ways and innovate on completely new things. Like even with roles, we think about products so much, but just like it's okay to do things differently if you know there's a better way. explain less in reflections. So I think I've done an okay job of this today, but there's this idea that I came up with today, which is instead of explaining every little thing, I can just create new content and more in-depth content where I can explain things more, and so you can understand it and use it for yourself if you choose. And for me, I get caught up in explaining in my content sometimes. So if I want to go faster and if I want to have a better episode, it might just be by just quickly summarizing things and then covering it in different pieces of content where I can go much deeper. You can use NIMSAM on anything in the physical world and on the non-physical world as well. But specifically this week, what happened was I almost lost all of my fucking data. It was really scary. I ended up getting really fucking lucky and fortunate about the way my backup was working. But anyways, the backup was restoring from iCloud and there was no backup to be found, which was very strange. But there was like stuff in the cloud, but I was just scared I was going to lose all my messages and it wouldn't come back. Anyways, nothing was working correctly. It was very strange. So I decided to do a NIMSAM session on this challenge, and like magically after all of this work, it started working. I just made a few tweaks and I was just experimenting with a few little things, and it was almost like as that energy was transformed, balanced, and restored, I was then able to quickly see and be guided subconsciously, clearly to what worked. And it was a media pending, which I think is the root cause of all this. And I just modified some like iBook stuff and then music, and it worked. So I was just amazed. And it's just like, it just goes to show the 1,000,001 use cases for NIMSAM. And this is a quick plug. So yeah. Dream as big as you can and then focus on the next logical step. And adjust the size of both of those depending on where you are. Sometimes you have a limiting type of point of view and you don't feel as great, so you can't dream as big. Lower that vision. Get it to a point where you can get excited. Or if you're looking at what's in front of you, if it's too big, make it smaller. If it's too small, make it bigger. Just whatever excites you and makes you want to work on it, do that. Like, to succeed, you really need both of those going at the same time, the macro and the micro, the clouds and the dirt, the vision and the action, however you want to say that. You just do need both, because to get from vision, to get from where you are right now to your vision, you need to build a fucking bridge. And through action is where that bridge is built. And a bunch of other stuff as well. I'm really simplifying it right now, but you get the fucking point. In order for a plan or a system to work properly, the action steps and priorities need to be fucking crystal clear. So for me this week, my vision was pretty solid. You know, I was pulling from some whys, I was motivated, I was excited, I wanted to fucking move, but I didn't know where to go because I was not looking at my priorities and my next steps. And this is the simplest fucking thing, but I was still failing at this. And I'm glad I can see it, and I'm glad I corrected it midweek, but it's just still was the case. If you do not know if you are in a state of inaction, it might be because that thing seems like that next logical step seems too fucking big. You can make it smaller. You might need to crystallize exactly what it is. You might need to reevaluate your priorities. You might need to gamify it and find different ways to track it and measure it, find different ways of winning, find what is out of bounds in terms of gamification, make sure your vision is 100% awesome and exciting you, and the perfect amount of exciting you but also believable, these types of things. So the whole point of this though is like, I was too general in nature with my plan, and it led me to go nowhere fast because my next steps and my priorities were not clearly defined. It is dangerous in nature. Look in other areas of your life for ways you're applying this. So for me, nutrition and fitness are two really specific things that everything is clearly defined. The plan is outlined. It's very thoughtless. Like, I just kind of need to do it. And that is another battle in itself. But it's much easier to do when you know what's next and your priorities are defined and all that jazz. Just look for areas you're doing this and then duplicate those type of patterns and learn from it. And then equally look at places where it's not working and be like, okay, I'm not doing this, but I am doing this. I need to correct these things and keep doing these things. And then I will create better fucking results from this. Use humor as a side dish, not the main course. On my Instagram story this week, I decided to quickly experiment for 24 hours and find out what would it be like if I just posted only humor. I think I posted like 9 clips, only one of them was more serious in nature, which was dues paid. Almost everything else is a fucking joke and just humor based, and I had fun with it. But at the same time, I realized this is not for me. I did not feel great after. I felt like a fucking idiot posting this stuff. I felt like I was, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. I didn't like it. And at the same time, I did have fun with it, but not that enriching feeling of knowing that I might be able to have an impact with every meaningful post that I create. So for me, I just realized that I've got to focus on impact. I've got to focus on education, motivation, inspiration, just like trying to level people's standards up for life. These types of things. I just feel so much better. I'm just all about fucking impact with my content. So yeah, humor is nice to add on the side. I think it's a really important part of all this, but it can't be the main course for me. It's just not the way things are going to go for me specifically. Don't or yeah or any of these fucking annoying ass things if you're on a live broadcast or a call or any of these types of things that are being recorded because you sound fucking ridiculous after. Let that person speak, especially if they're going to make content out of it. I've heard, like even on this week, I heard one person call in and they were saying yeah type of thing to Gary. And I'm like, oh my God, you're ruining this fucking piece of content. Shut the fuck up. It's important to give that person feedback so they know you're getting it, but to overdo it is just annoying as fuck and it's ruining the content. I've listened to myself on the first NIMSM webinar and I'm like saying or stuff like that. Just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Give feedback here and there, but just don't overdo it. Do the perfect amount, do that. My document is the gold mine. So I like to share all types of things with you guys, but I'm sharing like fucking a quarter or a third or something like that. It might be closer to half. I have no fucking idea. Doesn't matter. I'm not sharing so much because I'm trying to share the stuff that is helpful to you, not necessarily try to just like self-serve all the time on this fucking show. So yeah, sometimes I forget that reflections is just one aspect of this and the real gold lies in this bad boy, which is the document. What challenges did I experience? Imposter syndrome with content. I just wonder sometimes, like, why is anyone watching me? It's so strange that people will actually take some time out of their day and watch or listen to me. I'm so fucking grateful that you actually give a shit enough to do that. And I hope that I'm making this time useful, and that's continuously my goal, is to provide even more useful information or concepts or whatever. I just want to be useful to you. I want to make sure this time was well spent. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. Like seriously, it's just so strange to me nonetheless, but I really do appreciate it. So thank you. 2 in ego with muscle testing. I thought I was fine with muscle testing, and then last night I was just 2 in ego and I couldn't do fucking shit, and I was getting such off answers, and it was just like, oh my God. And it's actually perpetuating into today as well. And muscle testing is key for energy work. So this is not the best timing ever. And equally it's showing me that I need to punt my ego even more and even do more ego dissolving, if you will, and these types of things. And P.S. I am so aware that I have an ego. Just don't get it twisted. I am aware I have an ego. We all have egos. It's just a matter of how we leverage that or try to dissolve them, if you will, or reduce it, or be in control, ironically, because that's an ego thing. But you know what I mean? Like, who's controlling what? Is self-controlling or is ego controlling? This chick that I've been friends with for just forever unfollowed me on Instagram, and I just saw that yesterday, as I don't check the unfollows too much, but I just checked for the first time in 2019. I have no idea when it happened, but yeah, it did hurt at the time. It's feeling a lot better now. I'm just remembering that I'm not for everyone. This person is not too down for purposeful content. They follow a lot of basic bitches. They like to follow a lot of mindless shit as well. So I get that it's not for everyone. It might be that it's too deep. It might be that she just wants to look and see mindless shit as she's scrolling. It might be that she just doesn't like personal branding. There's a lot of indications that tell me a lot of these things, but I don't know the story. It's not for me to decide. I'm just trying to understand a little bit deeper. But with that being said, I am not for everyone. I had to remember this and equally send love her way, even though there's definitely a dark side of me that's wanting to make her fucking regret doing so. And I completely get that my message is not for everyone, but I also know she's been known to shit on people who are doing the types of things that I do. And I think she just likes people to stay in their comfort zone and not do anything outside of their norm. So this is me just getting judgmental right now, but this is extra funny to me because this chick has more significance in my story than I think she realizes. And I'm not gonna fucking give her the reward now of letting her know that. But I will let you figure it out if you can put the pieces together. They're out there, and yeah. I have this fear of people who I really respect and admire, and I think they're really cool people, any of those types of categories. I fear that my lack of progress so far is going to, they'll just leave me type of thing. Yeah, that's an interesting fear. And it's almost like this kind of like, I don't want to lose them type of thing, which means lose them in the universal sense. So I've just got to be grateful for those friendships and also continue my results, because it's just, yeah, I just wonder, like, at what point does someone cut me off because I haven't achieved yet? These are fears of mine, for sure. Where did I grow the most? Discipline on cutting. I wanted to eat so much. I'm hungry as fuck right now, and I'm gonna go get some more food, but goddamn, I need some more calories in my day. I'm only at 1850 right now. Oh god, I miss 3100 so much. I want that extra meal and a bit, so much more. For sure, illusion transformation process. I feel like I'm growing at a soul level from detaching from this bullshit illusion that we've all bought into. Honestly, in this moment, I'm feeling pretty physical, but as much as possible, if I can get in that energy of feeling very non-physical in nature and just like remembering this is a joke that we bought into, and remembering that everything is non-physical in nature, that is a great place to be. And the more I can spend in that, the more it becomes a habit, the more spiritual I become, the more happier, more peaceful. I hate the word happier, but like peace, bliss, and just vibrating even higher. Getting on the phone with Apple. So I called Apple support this week, and I didn't want to call. I fucking am so scared of calling people, as you guys might know. But there was no option for chat. So I was like, okay, I guess this is the time for me to grow myself, because I don't have a fucking option here, and I really should fix this fucking iCloud bullshit. So I called. It was not as scary as I thought. Going slow on the phone, not over pacing myself, just it's kind of like content, actually. Same type of feeling. It's like almost like a mini adrenaline rush when I'm on. I'm like slow, and equally I'm fucking like fast as hell. At least it feels like that in my mind. It's not necessarily, I looked at the content, obviously when I'm editing, but when I look at it back, it doesn't seem as fast as it does in my brain when I'm doing it. I get like a low level anxiety when I'm on camera, and it's fine. I'm very okay with it. But anyways, it wasn't as scary as I thought, is the fucking main point here. And I feel more comfortable on the phone because of this. Truths and lies. I just progressed a fucking ton here. I spent a significant amount of my time this week on truths and lies, and I'm really glad I invested that, because the mindset is everything. Like if you're walking around with limiting beliefs, your potential is being limited, your results are being limited. So fuck that. I choose to confront instead. And I talked about, like, I just gained so much awareness, it was ridiculous. Here's some topics that I covered in that. Whether I'm a good entrepreneur, whether I can be a good entrepreneur, procrastination, fear of rejection, fear of people talking about me behind my back. I'm avoiding judgment, not wanting judgment at all. Failure in front of people, going slow versus going fast. Fear of change because I don't want to lose friends. Not being ready to succeed. Feeling like a fraud, imposter. Fear of it not working, as in like NIMSM and Moxey energetics and all these types of things. hate of sales, crumbling under pressure, procrastination. I feel like I already said that. I did. If I'm not working every fucking second, I'm a bad entrepreneur. Again, that's a false belief. Moxey energetics, making money, etc. Yeah, so that was intense and felt way fucking different after. And yeah, it just seems like it was just really helpful to do that future pacing as well. That really helped in a lot of areas, and also just hitting a bunch of lies in different ways. Yeah. Ultimately, I grew a ton with this exercise. It shined a hell of a light on all this bullshit that I bought into and just showed me all these ways that I can improve. And ultimately, I bought into new beliefs and discarded those old lies and bought into new beliefs that will germinate within time. And I just have to water and fertilize those seeds and they will germinate. So that's exciting. What am I obsessed with right now? Twix and mochachinos. So basically just chocolate is what I'm obsessed with right now. I just love caffeine as well, by the way. Just thought I'd add that. I feel very like everywhere right now in a good way. Anyways, I really miss calories. I miss eating a ton. But I just want to fucking pig out so much right now. I want 1,000,000 Twixes. I want 1,000,000 mochachinos. And I just want to I want a chocolate and like garbage. I just want to sewer myself and put myself in a food coma. That'll probably happen as soon as Bri gets here, by the way. Maybe like the Thursday or whatever. We'll just fucking go to town, or the Friday. I don't even know. I also don't want to gain weight just before ever after. That'd be so fucking silly. But fuck, man. I miss food so much. That probably was my favorite episode I've ever done of Reflections. Good Lord. I was moving so fast at times, and I feel like I was covering things in a much less explanatory manner, and at the same time I feel like I still brought enough explanation that I could have brought value. If there was anything that didn't make any sense, please let me know and I'll try to explain it if possible. If you like this episode enough, please do me a favor, share with a friend, like, comment, subscribe, follow, engage, share, rating, whatever the thing is, wherever you are. I would love if you could do that. In addition, please let me know what your favorite takeaway was in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Like, I really enjoyed this episode, like I just said. Fuck, man. I also did an incredible job of not repeating myself on points. There was only like a handful, I felt like, of points that I actually re-recorded, and I feel like that's why this episode came out so well. I also feel like it came out long as fucking shit, so I'm fully prepared for this to be like the longest episode ever, but I felt like it was super fucking packed. So anyways, thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Josh Moxey, and I will catch you later. I like getting out of my house and just, oopsie.